Hello stampers and crafters, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Sarah McGuire from Sassy Paper Crafts. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, and today's card is this one. All week long I'm going to be using the Artistically Inked stamp set that coordinates with the beautiful artistic dies, and we're going to be using several of these dies today to create this card. So if you'd like to see how to make this card, please keep watching. So for our card, the first thing we're going to do is stamp. I do want to talk a little bit about the Artistically Inked stamp set. So this comes with 12 cling stamps. They are red rubber. We're going to be doing a little bit of a coloring technique today. I have my sponge daubers out. I have 3 of them. They do come in a pack of 5. I don't have one for every single color that Stampin' Up! Has, because then you'd need like 53 of them. I use them for color family. So I have a green here, purple, and a pink. And we're going to be using 3 colors: Parakeet Party, Melon, Mambo, and Fresh Freesia. Let's start with the Parakeet Party. I have quite a few of this 12 stamps from this stamp set here. The only ones we're not using are the little dots and the sentiments and the big part here, but I do have a card later this week that uses the other stamps. So I'm going to start with Parakeet Party, and I just have a scrap piece here of basic white. I'm going to grab one of our leaves. I like to put the sponge daubers right on my finger. I'm going to dip that in the ink and then just lightly go over it. I'm not really pushing very hard. I'm just kind of lightly inking that up, making sure I get the whole thing, and then we're going to stamp. Now what that does is it creates a softer color, so it's not so bright and bolded in your face. Now I'm going to take our smaller leaf. I'm going to do the same thing. We're going to need 2 of these. And we are going to be die cutting these all out, so it doesn't really matter your placement on your paper here. We're just stamping. And now the fun part is the flowers. So I'm going to use my Melon Mambo and Fresh Freesia. So do that. And then we're going to start with the Fresh Freesia, and we'll use the big flower first. So I'm just going to ink the sponge dauber up. I'm going around the edges. I'm not really getting into the middle. I just want to go around the edges and kind of come up just a little bit. And then we take our Melon Mambo, or pink sponge dauber, and now we're going to start in the center and come out. And I am overlapping the 2 colors a little bit. You'll see why in just a moment. I'm going to get a little bit more. I really want that center to be nice and Melon Mambo-y. Now we can stamp and move that. And see how nice and soft that is? So now we only need 1 of the big flowers. We need 3 of these little ones. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to take my purple, dip it in the Fresh Freesia, and just go around the outside. I pushed a little hard there, so you'll be able to see it better once you're actually doing it. But I got a lot of Fresh Freesia in there. I'm going to take my Melon Mambo. And if you're worried about blending your inks on your pad, I try to use the corners, so that way if I do get some Fresh Freesia on my Melon Mambo ink pad, it's not going to be right in the middle. That one, see, I did use a lot of Fresh Freesia. That one turned out quite dark, but that's okay. I'm going to do this 2 more times. And now we need our smaller flower. This is going to go into the center of this one here. I just wanted to see what it looked like. This is totally optional. I think I might even put this one up on a dimensional. I'm not going to re-ink these because I want it to be a lot lighter. So I'm just going to go on the outside edge with the Fresh Freesia, and then right in the middle with the Melon Mambo. And we can do that one here. And then I'm going to do the same thing with these flowers. I'm going to ink them up. Do the Melon Mambo on the outside and the Fresh Freesia in the middle. This is just going to be for our background. I have a piece of basic white here. All the measurements for this card are on my blog. You click the first link in the description of this video. I'm going to go over here, do it again. Again, not re-inking the daubers. I'm just getting the ink that's already on there off onto the stamp, basically. Do another one up there. And then I'm going to, before we start die cutting, there's still some ink on here. Just going to stamp it, and it's going to be very faint. And do another one over here. And what that's going to do is give us a background there. Hard to tell. You can't really, we are going to be covering most of that up, but I did want something to come through. So I'm going to clean up my stamps, put my inks away, and then we're going to die cut these pieces with the artistic dies. So I have this die here. We need this guy for these three. This is our little leaf, our big leaf, our middle, and then I am going to be using this one. So of all the dies, we're only not using 2 of them, but I am going to be die cutting this on a piece, from a piece of basic white. So I'm going to clean up everything, die cut, and then we can put our card together. All of our pieces are now die cut. I did forget to stamp the sentiment before I put everything away, but I remembered as I was putting away my stamps that, oops, I didn't do the sentiment. So I just inked that up in Melon Mambo, stamped it right on this piece. We do have this large piece here. I'm going to take this part off of the take your pick tool, and I'm going to put the die brush. Oh, I think I got to go on this side. The die brush tip on, and that will get out all of those little pieces. There. So I have the die brush tip on the end of the take your pick tool. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to run this over. I'm going to flip it over, run it over that way. Now you could put an adhesive sheet on the back of this. I didn't because I did want some of my pieces to pop up a little bit. So we're just going to use liquid glue, and see a lot of those pieces just fall right out. And the ones that don't, you can just kind of poke through, or you can take the brush again and just run it over. And this just loosens all those pieces up so you can pop them right out. So I'm going to work on this before we put our card together. So all of our pieces, for the most part, there's some stuck in there, are cut out. We're covering a lot of it up, so I'm okay with some of those little pieces still being in there. I'm going to grab my liquid glue, and I'm just going to put little bits of glue kind of on the bigger parts. And I'm not putting too much because we're going to push this down, and I don't want glue coming out everywhere. And I'm not really putting any on the ends because, like I said, I want some of these pieces just to stick up a little bit. That should be good. So I'm going to flip this over, and I'm going to be careful to not really go too far off the edge. We don't have a lot of room to go off the edge. I'm just going to set this like that, and then we're going to push it down. And I like to take a big E block and just set it on top. So that way it gives the liquid glue a minute to dry. While that's drying, we can put our flower pieces together. I'm going to push this over here. I'm going to grab one of these flowers and my little piece here. And like I said, I did want to pop this up, I think, with a mini dimensional, just so it's easier to see. I feel like on this one it kind of blends in a lot. So I'm going to pop that up on a dimensional. Stick it right in the center there. And then we're also going to put dimensionals on these ones. And these are just regular Stampin' dimensionals. And then for this, I'm going to take a glue dot. You can use liquid glue, you can use seal. I just happen to have a glue dot handy. Press that down. Oh, press that down. And I'm just going to kind of pop it like that. Then I am going to use seal. We're going to stick this one down with seal. I want this one flat on my card. Take off the block. That should be pretty much dry now. I'm going to stick this one, I think we'll go like that, right in the middle. And then we can put the rest of our leaves on. And take a glue dot for this one. That leaf can go like that. And it's just random. It's really like this stamp set is very artistic. So it's however you want it to look. There is no right or wrong way. I think we'll stick this one right there. And then we can put down, oh, I need a dimensional for this one. And then we can put down our flowers. It is really artistic. You get creative with it, however you want it to look. I'm going to try not to cover up that leaf too much or any of our stamps. I mean, I'm going to cover up some of the stamped pieces, but that one there. And then we'll slide this one behind the other one like that. And put on a few rhinestone basic jewels. I think I'm only going to use 3, and we'll put those right in the center of our flowers. And now we can put this on our card base. So I have a Melon Mambo card base. Again, all the measurements are on my blog. Take our panel here, little seal. You can use liquid glue. I'm going to set it right in there. And then I want a piece for the inside. You can decorate the inside. I didn't for this one, but there's definitely quite a few stamps in that set where you could decorate it. And that is our card today. So they're both slightly different. They're not the same card twice. I'm going to pull my bone folder and burnish that edge. They're definitely not the same card twice. I think it's hard with this set to make the same exact card twice. But I hope you enjoyed this card tutorial today. I hope you enjoyed talking about Artistically Inked all week long. Be sure you're subscribed to my YouTube channel. Like this video. Give it a thumbs up. And I will see you all next time. Thanks so much for watching.